Ah, what happened? This is Geek News Central. My name is Todd Cochran, coming to you from the new media production studio. The lead stories are Facebook's number 2 COO, Sheryl Sandberg, is out. Elon Musk has ordered Tesla and Starlink employees back to the office. And he says for a minimum, and he said, I mean a minimum of 40 hours a week. China is going to develop tech to kill Starlink satellites. And the James Webb Telescope is going to show its first image on July 12th. I want to welcome you to episode 1603 of the Geek News Central podcast for Wednesday. Yes, a special Wednesday edition of the Geek News Central podcast, Wednesday, June 1st. This show is sponsored in part by GoDaddy.com and listeners just like you. Great deals from GoDaddy can be found at geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. You can support this show today at geeknewscentral.com/insider. I want to give a warm welcome to all the new listeners of the show. Make sure you get over to geeknewscentral.com. Please follow or subscribe to the podcast. You can also sign up for our newsletter. It's available on the website as well. Most important thing is get subscribed so you don't miss a single episode of the show on your preferred podcast consumption app. You can always join our chat room at geeknews.chat or our Discord channel. Those are available via the show notes linked at geeknewscentral.com. You can always contact me via email at geeknews@gmail.com. Of course, you can follow me on Twitter at Geek News. Great way to send me DMs as well. Of course, follow on Facebook. All the partner shows, they're linked at geeknewscentral.com, includes the new media show, the Pro Gear site, the Gadget Professor with Mr. Don Bain. We've got Kirk and Scott doing the GNC Week in Review. And of course, I'm live typically every Monday and Thursday evening. Tonight's a special night because I'll tell you all about it here in just a second. Partner shows, again, definitely check them out. But more importantly, we wanted you to take time and support our sponsor. GoDaddy is the longest running continuous sponsor of our podcast. That's the sponsor of this show. You can find information about the GoDaddy offers at Geek News Central or Business Plus plans. That's a 1-month free trial. I want to thank all of you again for your longtime support of taking care of me, and by supporting GoDaddy, you allow this show to do what we do best. And I tell you what, pays the bills, pays the rent, pays electricity. Every time you support GoDaddy, it really helps the podcast a lot. Take advantage of one of those deals at $1.99 a month economy hosting for the first year with a free domain. There's nothing like it in the space. That $2.99 a month managed WordPress hosting, again, for the first year with a free domain. All those deals, again, can be found at geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. We thank you for your ongoing support. I tell you, if you're checking in on Facebook or on YouTube or Twitch or Twitter, make sure you say hello. I'm only able to typically watch the Facebook stream and the YouTube stream a little bit. So if you're over there, definitely appreciate when you say hello and I'm able to respond. So yes, a Wednesday. And doing the show on a Wednesday. Why are you doing the show on a Wednesday? It's really, really simple. My schedule is, and as you guys have known for the last couple of weeks, it's been crazy. Absolutely crazy. And tomorrow afternoon, late, I'm headed to our HQ. Going to be there all over the weekend and Monday. So I will not be doing the show on Monday, but I'll be back on a normal schedule again starting Thursday of next week. And of course, I just got back from Orlando from the Podfest conference, had a great show there. And, but you know, one thing I was asked the other day, they said, Todd, how come the Geek News Central website has not had an update since your last episode? Well, what it really boils down to is his budget. I budget X number of articles a month. And depends on how the flow goes, sometimes we kind of run out of budget near the end of the month. So when you are considering being an insider, every time someone signs up and the 10, 15, 20, or $25 plan, you're essentially paying for at least one additional article to be posted on Geek News Central every month. So I know we've had a couple of people come on as insiders. I'm going to thank those of you that have, but that's the primary reason why sometimes the data kind of slows down, especially if I'm not here to do podcasts to kind of act as the filler on the website. Then that's kind of why things go dry for a little bit. So just wanted to let you know I was asked, and I thought I would share with you. But yeah, so a special Wednesday show. I didn't want to leave you hanging for another 2 episodes. So I thank you for your those of you that are listening. Get you a little bit of not necessarily a bonus, but want to make a little bit of a make good to make sure you don't go high and dry for any longer than you have to. But definitely appreciate you all being here and staying subscribed to the show. So busy. It's beautiful weather here in Michigan. It's in the 90s. I went out to the campsite for a little bit yesterday. Actually cooked some food out there, hung out. Didn't stay overnight, but because I had some things I had to get to early this morning. But it was nice to be able to really kind of get a couple of hours of just downtime out there, hanging out, and got things organized. So I hope everyone's doing well and doing good. And I'm glad that I'm back with you here for another live show. So let's go ahead and also podcast. So let's go ahead and get into the content. I've got a great stack of stuff today. Facebook's parent company Meta COO Sheryl Sandberg is stepping down. She's stepping down from her role. She joined Facebook in 2008 as number 2 to Facebook CEO and co-founder Mark Zuckerberg. Javier Olivan, the company's chief growth officer, will take over CEO this fall, and Sandberg will continue to serve on Meta's board of directors. So she says, over the next few months, Mark and I will transition my direct reports. Sandberg said in a lengthy Facebook post discussing stepping down. Meta is also planning an internal reorganization to go along with the change. Looking forward, Zuckerberg says, looking forward, I don't plan to replace Sheryl's role and her existing structure. I'm not sure that would be possible since she's a superstar who defined the CEO role in her own unique way. But even if it were possible, I think Meta has reached a point where it makes sense for her product and business groups to be more closely integrated rather than having all the business and operations function organized separately from our product. So we will see what happens here. And she's probably rich in her own right, having as much stock as she got. And so she's going to go on and do, sounds like, be more of a philanthropic work is what she says she's going to do. So a bit of a change at Facebook, and Meta was down $5.53 post announcement. So we'll see where it goes there. Elon Musk stirred everything up today. He's ordering Tesla and Starlink executives back to the office. He says bosses can always work from home after they've done a minimum of 40 hours a week on site. In an email sent to Tesla's team and obtained by the New York Times, Musk tells Tesla executives that remote work is no longer acceptable. And this is typical Elon. He says, anyone who wishes to do remote work must be in the office for a minimum, and I mean a minimum of 40 hours per week. Musk missive mandates this is less than we ask of factory workers. So yeah, factory workers are their 40 plus hours. Musk, the world's richest person at the moment, allows that he may, at his discretion, bend the rules for particularly exceptional contributors. He says, if you have to ask, that's probably not you. The billionaire and Twitter influencer further stipulates the office as he defines it means the main office, not some remote branch unrelated to one's duties. And he says, people who think coming into work is an antiquated concept they should pretend to work somewhere else. So basically, he says, you don't come to office, you have basically essentially resigned. So that's a tough one. Now, right now, remote work is sweeping the space. And I know some of you that work in the service industry or have a job that's in the trades, you kind of scoff at this because you have to go to work. But to be honest with you, a lot of candidates now looking for a job refuse to come into the office. They want remote work. And I'm going to be honest with you, it's a blessing, and it's also at the same time a challenge, because not everyone works to the same levels remotely as they do in person. And definitely team building is impacted heavily when people are not always together. And you can only do so much with Zoom meetings. It's death by Zoom instead of death by PowerPoint. So what do you think? What do you think about this order? What do you think it means for the industry in itself? Do you think that it will potentially have people at Tesla leaving? What do you think? What do you think is going to happen? Do you think people are going to get so pissed off that they're going to say, I've had it, I'm done? I'd be curious to hear your comments, geeknews@gmail.com. What about your job? Have you been told to come back to the office? Have you been forced to come back to the office? Or were you working alongside your coworkers the entire time during the pandemic? What was your status? I know many people were working from home and continue to do so. But, really, my prediction is that most companies will continue to do remote work. And it's going to be interesting to see how we navigate this going forward. Over on Engadget, there's an article about China's military scientists call for development of anti-Starlink measures. They suggest developing the capability to destroy the satellites in case they threaten China's national security. I find this very hilarious, this whole article, and it really smells of Chinese. They said the author warned, when completed, Starlink satellites can be mounted with reconnaissance, navigation, and meteorological devices to further enhance U.S. military's combat capability in such areas as reconnaissance, remote sensing, communications relay, navigation, and positioning, attack and collision, and space sheltering. Between hard and soft kill, the researchers favor the later, since physically destroying satellites would produce space debris that could interfere with China's activities. They've said that that it's very obvious that they don't fully understand how things work here, because a Starlink is launched from military bases in the United States. Technically, the Cape is maybe considered military, but it's kind of interesting. It's a government site, that is for sure. I wonder what they'll say when he starts to launch Starlink antennas out of Boca Chica. But the Chinese are worried about Starlink. Well, if they're worried about Starlink, wait till these other internet service providers, these start putting up satellites. And by the way, my Starlink internet speed's been averaging about 50 to 65 megs since I've been home, which is a little slower. So keeping an eye on it to see what it's going to be doing. It's still a heck of a lot better than what I have had in the past, but I'm hoping that those speeds go back up. The James Webb Space Telescope's first color image will be revealed on July 12th. The first spectroscopic data will be released as well. So it's just over 6 months. We'll get our first full look here. And we know that the James Webb Space Telescope required some months of preparation. They also had to cool the telescope, etc. And NASA has shared some images that they captured during the prep, but it's unclear what the full color images will look like. And there are things that we are expecting and hoping to see. So time will tell how much ooh and ah we get from the James Webb Space Telescope. Bloomberg is reporting that Fidelity has slashed Reddit, Stripe valuations after tech rout. So they basically are not only going after them, they're going after a whole bunch of folks, saying that these tech prices are just way overpriced. Shares of Instacart, ByteDance, they're all being downrated by Fidelity, which many of you in your 401ks have probably got stock in some of these offerings. So it could mean bad news for your 401ks more than it already has been. But the tech turndown is definitely happening. And I wonder if Elon is leveraging that move in that companies are not hiring as much in his positioning to order people back to the office. That's a wonder on my part. A little more space news. NASA's sun-grazing Parker Solar Probe will zip through its 12th stellar close-up today. It will fly about 5 million miles from the surface of the sun. And during the flyby, this is really close, flying 14 times closer than the orbit of Mercury. And the Parker will reach a top speed of 364,000 miles per hour. That's roughly 21 times faster than the International Space Station. The exact time of the closest approach will be about 6:50 Eastern today. So just very, very shortly. So definitely getting pretty hot. So we'll see how this one survives. And it's set to break its own speed record again this time, as it has several times throughout its mission. But what's more valuable is how so many close passes are providing information about the sun's complex behavior. And these passes are not guaranteed because they've been inching in a little bit by little bit. But here's the thing, though. The next flyby will occur in August of 2023. And they want to make up to 24 passes. So this is an interesting halfway mark, I guess. We'll see how the spacecraft does. Also, groundbreaking is set stage for a Space Shuttle Endeavour launch-like display. The California Science Center, new Samuel Ocean Air and Space Center, will tower 20 stories tall. So this is crazy. It's breaking ground for a permanent home of NASA's retired Space Shuttle Endeavour. Unlike the Science Center's current display of the orbiter, which for the past 10 years has had Endeavour positioned horizontally atop its mobile transporter, the new exhibit will showcase the full Space Shuttle stack, including an external tank and twin solid rocket boosters in a gallery towering 20 stories tall at Exhibition Park in Los Angeles. And the California Science Center is thrilled to celebrate the milestone. And so we'll see what happens. I don't know how long it's going to take, but they were granted, combined with support provided by the state of California and numerous foundations, individual corporation donors, the Science Center has raised now $200 million toward its $400 million goal to cover past, present, and future Endeavour displays. So kind of cool. See what happens. It's definitely going to be interesting. Now, they're going to demolish some of the old buildings to make this happen, but they're going to stack it, and you're going to see the whole deal, and you're going to be able to get close to it through the exhibit. And they have a rendering of what it's going to look like, which is pretty cool, and with observatories and everything. The cool part would be is if you could actually get into the spacecraft, or the shuttle, but I don't think that will ever happen, to be honest with you. Probably the inside's gutted anyway, probably with all this stuff's been taken out. Apple is reportedly moving some iPad production from China to Vietnam. The shutdowns in China that have continued because of COVID has caused them to move some production, just because the Chinese have been so strict about it. So we'll see if this actually happens, and if Vietnam is actually the true beneficiary of this. Also, NASA has chose 2 companies to develop the next-gen spacesuit. They'll be used for spacewalks and moonwalks over the next decade. And they've hired 2 companies, awarded contracts to. According to NASA, new suits could be ready as soon as 2025. And what are the two companies? They had the list here. Oh, Axiom Space and Collins Aerospace. The two companies will develop the next-gen suits. In addition to moon exploration, NASA says has defined the technical and safety standards around the new Exploration Extravehicle Mobility Unit. But it's up to these partners to deal with design, development, qualification, certification, as well as building the necessary support equipment. Ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching. Our taxpayer dollars at work. For those of you that are GM product owners, GM has dropped $6,000 off the sticker price of the 2023 Chevy Bolt. So that's a big drop. The 1LT version of the 2023 Bolt EV starts at $26,000 plus a $995 destination fee. That's $5,900 less than the 2022 starting price. So the 2LT has the same discount, but it starts at $29,795. So that's a pretty good price. As for the slightly longer Bolt EUV, that starts at $28,000. You'll save $6,300 compared with the 22-mile. Likewise, the 2023 EUV with Premier trim starts at $32,000. Chevy says the options and content are pretty much the same. Now, there's an article I have later in the show. As a matter of fact, I might as well bring that up now. The Ford CEO says electric vehicle price war as EV costs decline. He says that in the coming years, automakers will battle each other for sales of EVs priced around $25,000. Materials to build that vehicle will cost around $18,000. So he thinks they're headed for a huge price war. Well, we just see the shot across the bow today by GM dropping the price to $25,000. The Google TV app is finally available on iOS. You can as a remote for an Android TV device. So after launch in 2020, the Google TV app is now available to download to iOS. If you already have the company's previous Google Play movies and TV software installed on your phone, this app will replace it. As with its Android counterpart, the Google TV app allows you to use your smartphone as a remote for your Google TV or Android TV OS device. So exciting stuff there. According to the AP, the FBI blocked a planned cyber attack on a children's hospital. They've thwarted this attack on a children's hospital in Boston that was to be carried out by hackers sponsored by the Iranian government. They told Boston College Cybersecurity Conference that his agents learned of the planned digital attack from an unspecified intelligence partner and got Boston Children's Hospital the information it needed last summer to block what had been one of the most despicable cyber attacks they've seen. And quick actions by everyone involved, especially at the hospital, protected both the network and the sick kids who depend on it. The FBI chief recounted that anecdote in a broader speech about cyber threats from Russia, China, and Iran, and the need for partnerships between the U.S. government and private sector. So he said the Bureau and Boston's Children's Hospital had worked closely after hacktivists attacked the hospital's computer in 2014. So this was a good job by the FBI to help thwart this. And hopefully they'll find more of this type of stuff and help companies stop these attacks. Google is combining Meet and Duo. Many of you probably don't even know what Duo is. Duo is a video app that Google has that a lot of people on Android use. So they're combining Meet and Duo into a single app for voice and video calls. It's going to be called Meet finally, but Duo's DNA lives on. So expect that change to come. Twitter's also announced it's going to shut down the TweetDeck for Mac app on July 1st. You'll need to switch to the web version or use an alternative client. So TweetDeck will soon longer be available. We're saying goodbye to TweetDeck for Mac app to focus on making TweetDeck even better and testing our new preview. A tweet from the TweetDeck team reads, July 1st is the last date it'll be available. So interesting. So we're saying goodbye to TweetDeck for Mac app to focus on making TweetDeck even better and testing our new preview. That's really weird. You can still use TweetDeck on the web. Invite you to try the preview we'll be rolling out over the next several months. So they're replacing the app. Just weird that they wouldn't have the new one ready before the old one rolls out. I knew about this. I've seen this device already. Really couldn't say anything about it, but Focusrite has introduced what's something called the Vocaster. It's kind of a similar to something that has been built by some other manufacturers, but it's really a product that is targeted for podcasters. It's hands-on, a streamlined audio interface built for podcasters. It's got a single channel or 2-channel version, and allows you to do remote, have people come in remotely as well. It's pretty nice little device. You can have 2 loop back channels, but for someone that's considering I want to get one of these at some point to try, see if I can get a demo unit. But link will be up in the show notes. You can definitely read the review over on Engadget. So this is kind of crazy. The French government bans English gaming terms, including esports. Why say streamer when you can say un jour, amateur, and direct? So the French do not like English, obviously, and they try to protect the French language as much as possible. So anytime they see an English word that is being pervasively used within the government and in the public, the France Ministry of Culture has announced it'll ban terms including streamer, esports, etc. So should not come as a surprise what they're doing here, because they tried to ban the word Wi-Fi in the past. According to Ofcom, tech firms must do more to protect women online. And the head of media regulator, Ofcom, says tech firms must do more. And it's reported in UK Media Habit says women are more likely than men to face online abuse and see harmful content. Only 42% of the women in its survey said they felt comfortable about speaking freely online. Ofcom is set to become a regulator of social media platforms as part of the government's online harms bill, which puts onus on tech companies to act swiftly to protect users and remove harmful content or face steep fines. In its survey, 6,000 adults in the UK, only 21% of people who had reported content to social networks said it had been removed as a result of removed and have said nothing had happened at all. So, a lengthy article and about the results. For those of you in the UK, you definitely want to check this out. If you have a Canon wireless printer, you may have noticed you've got some issues. If you own the MX490, 492, MB2010, and the MG7520, if you haven't updated it, don't update it. If it's automatically updated and it's rebooting, well, you're kind of out of luck until there's an official fix or update from the folks at Canon. And some people have found that disconnecting the printer from it is enough to keep them from rebooting, with control still possible via USB. And so they're having to print via their via file being put on a USB stick. But if you connect it to the internet, it just loops and loops and loops, which would be very, very aggravating. Google's expanding its program to help train the formerly incarcerated. So last April, Google launched Grow with Google Career Readiness for Reentry, a program created in partnership with nonprofits to offer job readiness and digital skills training for formerly incarcerated individuals. As part of the expansion, Google today announced that it'll invest over $8 million in organizations that help justice-impacted individuals, including the formerly incarcerated, to enter the workforce. So that's a good move. And hopefully they're finding success with that. And they're also donating money to schools and a variety of other places that Google normally does. Those of you that live out in California, extreme drought could cost California half its hydroelectric power this summer. Nearly 60% of the states is experiencing extreme drought or worse. So basically what that's going to mean is hydroelectricity makes up 15% of the electricity California uses. And because there's no water, that energy is going to drop to 8% this summer. Even northern Michigan is going to run into trouble. They went to try to go to renewables here, and they're predicting rolling power outages because they have shut down coal generating plants in so fast and not got renewables in place, they're going to have power shortages here in Michigan. So, it's why don't they get renewables in place and keep using coal? Or better yet, let's go back to using some nuclear to keep the power on. And you think we're going to be able to charge all these electric cars if they don't have enough power now? We're in for some hard times. It's already hard with the cost of everything currently. According to the New York Post, mysterious pulse detected in the sky is leaving scientists dumbfounded. A pulse that's happening every 76 seconds is very, very strange. He says this is not a normal pulsar that happens about every 300. He says this is very odd. A neutron star pulse is usually a few seconds or less. But this one is repeating every 76 seconds, and it lasted about 300 milliseconds. So they're trying to figure this out, about 1,300 light years away. And so they're doing some investigation to see what it is. It's definitely not an SOS, but they're trying to figure out. They found a new type of neutron star signal. Costa Rica's public health system's hit by a Hive ransomware following Conti attacks. So they just keep getting hammered. In a statement on Twitter, the CCSS said the attack started early on Tuesday morning and the investigation was being conducted at its several payroll and pension databases, including the Unified Digital Health System and the centralized tax collection system, were not affected by the attack. In addition to a local address, the CSS added that the Hive ransomware is deployed on at least 30 out of 1,500 government servers, and the estimation time to recover remains unknown. Several employees said they were told to shut down the computers off after all their printers beginning spitting out unintelligible documents. Another employee said that as a result of the attack, COVID-19 results cannot currently be reported. The attack comes just a week after Costa Rican President Rodrigo Chavez declared a state of emergency in the country in response to cyber attacks from the Conti ransomware group, which attacked the Costa Rica's finance ministry. So they just keep getting whacked and going after them. Elon Musk has detailed the upcoming Starlink 2.0 satellites. He says Musk confirms the company's built its first Starlink 2, which is much larger, more powerful than the original. In fact, Starship's mega rocket above the Starship is the only way SpaceX will be able to get these Starlinks into orbit. He says that the new satellite, 22 feet long and 1.25 tons. The current Starlink satellites are a mere 573 pounds and are much, much smaller. He says the small Gen 1 design is that SpaceX can launch up to 6 of them on every Falcon 9, but this new one will have to be launched by the Starship. Now, sadly, the U.S. government's taking a long time to do their environmental impact, and it's really delaying everything Starlink is doing. And so later this year, they may get the permission to fly, but the environmental thing is just dragging and dragging and dragging. So Boca Chica, no launches in the near future. Netflix effort to thwart password sharing is a bit of a mess, and they've been rolling this out outside the United States to do this. And testing in Chile and Costa Rica and Peru have basically been a disaster. And basically they said, hey, you want to share? You just have to pay $3 a month more for each person you share with. And people are saying, no, we're not. And they're canceling their Netflix subscriptions. So we'll see how this works. But they're tired of people piggybacking and have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 people on a single account. Do you remember Mega? We haven't talked about Mega in a long time, but Mega is one of the leading file storage platforms on the internet with more than 117 billion files stored. Given this scale, it's no surprise that these files include some infringement content. During the first quarter of 2022, Mega reported a significant increase with 1,187,000 takedown requests. But they say, hey, it's only 0.0002% of the total. Actually, no, it's 0.00002% of 117 billion files. So still a pretty low number. They do have a repeat infringer policy where they cancel people's accounts. But remember, Mega Upload was its original company with Kim.com, the guy in New Zealand. I don't know what ever happened with him. We ought to check in on that once in a while, see if we can find out what happened with his extradition. Don't think it ever happened. But anyway, Mega redid its copyright takedown report. You guys ever hear about Omaze? Omaze is showing up on my Facebook page a lot, shows up on YouTube promoters a lot. Omaze is where you can go and basically get in a sweepstakes for free. And you can also buy your way into more tickets for some amazing prizes. Cars, boats, houses, money. It goes on and on. And I'm sure a lot of people buy votes, but here's the thing. You can get one for free. You don't have to pay. Don't buy into it. I probably shouldn't say that, but don't buy into it. Go and you can apply for free. And but Amaze is the real deal. And if you want to know about it, makeuseof.com has a great article about it. The link is in the show notes. Physicists have just rewrote a foundational rule for nuclear fusion reactors. I said nuclear fusion. They could unleash twice the power. Fusion reactors could generate more power thanks to a reworking of Greenwald's law. I'm not going to go into this in depth, but discovery that fusion reactors can actually work with hydrogen plasma densities that are much higher than the Greenwald limit they're built for will influence the operation of the massive ITER Tomac being built in southern France and greatly affect designs of ITER's successor called the Demonstrator Power Plant Fusion Reactor, said physicist Paulo Ricci at the Swiss Plasma Center. So a lot of stuff still being worked on fusion, trying to figure that out. That's the magic power generation. If they ever figured out, will be awesome. China's rolled out its crewed Shenzhou 14 mission ahead of Saturday's launch. The Shenzhou 14 will see the third crew enters China's Tiangong space station. While they continue to build that out, they'll spend up to 6 months in space. In the final article tonight, a massive podcast outage caused by Spotify's failure to renew an SSL certificate took Megaphone offline for as long as 8 hours. We've all been in the barrel, felt bad for them. I reminded my tech team, make sure our SL certificates are on a schedule because it gets ugly when that happens. I feel bad for them. Okay, so let me go back, and I've got the email to the show has been sucks. I got an email from Rob, and he sent me a link, and I don't understand this, but he sent me a link to something all he needs for Christmas. It's a ball and cast end table. It looks like a piece of wood. Rob, I'm really not quite sure why you sent this to me. There is it just says all you need for Christmas. I've got some wood. We could probably get you something like this real. Is this an actual piece of wood? It must be fake. It must be brand. It's ball and cast. It looks to me like part of a stump. I'm not quite sure why you want this for Christmas, but thanks. Got an email from Sam. He says, "Hey, I have a lot of great memories of the Geek News Central podcast. The one I like hearing the most is a story about your experience seeing UFOs. Honestly, I appreciate you make us all feel like we're part of the Ohana by talking about what's happening in your personal life at the beginning of the show. Many of us geeks and don't really have many friends, but you feel like our friend because you share your life with us. Thank you, Todd, Sam, in Ohana." So we did not have a lot of response for the Kirk challenge. So Sam is going to be a double winner. from our 1600 episode. I don't think you guys love me anymore. You don't email me and don't make comments. It's okay. I know you're still listening. But I have had some requests via Facebook and other places to talk about my UFO experience. We're going to save that for another show. And I will do that if I get enough demand. I'll do that again. I might even talk about the Blue Man too, if we get enough demand from the audience for me to tell that story. But you guys are going to have to ask for it. You're going to have to bid for it. All right. And that's what I'm going to leave with that. Hey, I do thank all of you. And again, we've had a few new insiders join. I really appreciate the new insiders that have stepped up with contributions. You can be an insider. Again, $2, $5, $10, $15, $20, or $25 a month. It's an easy way to get started at 6.7 cents a day. I've had a few people increase their insider donations. This is a great time to get on board and become an insider. I definitely appreciate it for all of you that you have and continue to do your contributions. It warms my heart when that happens, and as well when you support the sponsor as well. So we're going to get out of here. I want to thank you all for being patient. Again, show's back to a regular schedule starting a week from Thursday, which will be June 9th. And I'm not going anywhere for a while. I think I'm here all of June. I think I'm here all of July. I might try to take some vacation at some point, but that's what's happening. But everyone, thanks for being part of the family here. Everyone, take care. We'll see you next time on the Geek News Central podcast. Be safe, take care of one another, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.